Welcome to your Joyful Life Podcast, Episode 3. Your attention is a superpower. How to take back control.
We're back. Welcome, everyone. This is another episode in your Joyful Life Podcast. I am Mike, and that's Evan. And I think what we're going to be talking about today is attention.
That's right.
Is that correct?
That's correct. We're going to start there anyway. We'll see where we end up.
No promises. Well, we'll talk about attention, but we'll see what else fits in.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so in our last podcast, when we were talking about feelings as a GPS, you mentioned a few times that it's just pointing to sort of what you are attending to. I don't think we use the word attending to, but when you keep your attention on a negative feeling, it feeds that negative feeling. And in the Joyful Life Project, the workshop that you run, one of the experiments is around attention. So I thought this would sort of led naturally from the last one.
Makes sense, yeah.
Let's talk about attention. Maybe just start sort of high level Joyful Life Project. Why is attention something we pay attention to at all?
Why should we be attending to our attention?
Yes, that's the question.
That's the question. I think the reason we want to attend to our attention is attention and where we place it. So I see it sort of as the like part of the creative process, and what I mean by that is what we focus our attention to is typically reflected in the reality that we're experiencing in any given moment, right? What we attend to, we typically get more of. And it certainly works that way when we're paying attention to something that's unwanted, right? So if I'm in a bad mood and I'm spending a lot of time paying attention to the fact that I'm in a bad mood, if I'm spending a lot of time paying attention to how I don't want to be in a bad mood, if I'm spending a lot of time paying attention to wanting this to be different, what I typically get is more of. So to me, attention is like a radio dial. If I want to listen to Beethoven for whatever reason, and my attention is on Q107.
That's a classic rock Canadian radio station reference.
Thank you, Evan. Appreciate that. Right. So if I'm wanting to listen to Beethoven and I'm paying attention to, I'm dialed into Q107, the likelihood of getting Beethoven is 0. So what we attend to is, to me, it's a superpower. Like I said, it's the beginning of the creation of our experience. So thoughts are coming and going. My personal mind is doing its thing. It's churning out stuff. And when I pay attention to that stuff or aspects of that stuff becomes real. You know,
what do you mean becomes real?
Well, it creates a sensation of being like factual or real, like as if it's actually occurring out in the world, right? So if I'm in a bad mood, I wake up for whatever reason and I feel myself to be in a bad mood. Well, if I start paying attention to that, I'm really doubling down on making that feeling that I was experiencing seem real to me.
I see.
The more I look out into the world looking for reasons for, like our brains tend to do this, right? I wake up and I don't feel good, and my brain instantly goes into problem-solving mode. Like, why don't you feel bad? Oh, well, because, the covers came off, or it's too cold, whatever. And as we pay more attention to the explanations we give ourselves for how we feel, that sort of locks that in. It gives it sort of a sense of permanence.
So you're saying that our attention filters our experience? Is that a way to look at it?
Yeah, that's a way to look at it. What we pay attention to seems real to us. Mm-hmm. What we pay attention to in our thinking comes off because of this wonderful structure that, the way it works. What we attend to has it has a real quality to it. It's like, there's really no such thing as a bad mood. We've all had an experience of a bad mood, yet, it's hard to point to. And the more we give something like that our attention, the more concrete it seems to become.
Right. I always think about it as like, so
the more real it feels. Yeah.
Yeah. So like your example, you wake up bit of a bad mood, the first thing your mind is going to do is figure out why. And like you said, oh, the heater didn't kick on, it's too cold, or I'm going to be late,
stole the covers.
right, something like that. And then you're going to go into your kitchen and you're going to notice like there's a dish that didn't get washed in the night before, and like there's another thing that's not going right, and then something else. Now we're out of milk. And by the time you get to your front door to go outside to start the day, like you have found evidence to confirm the first experience you had in the morning,
right? Yeah.
Which is the whole universe is against me today. This is going to be an awful day,
and now I'm going to prove it to myself.
Exactly
with
right.
my
And
attention.
The only thing I'm going to look out for. I'm going to make sure that I'm right about this. This is going to be an awful day.
Yeah.
The first time I heard that it was such a profound thing to think about, because I never thought that I had the agency to do that.
Right.
Right. I can just choose to put my attention on something else, but these are the things that are coming into my experience.
Right.
And it's amazing when you know that you have that. You said it's a superpower. It really is. Like, oh yeah, it's cold in the morning because it's winter and I woke up and now I'm going to be grumpy. Or I could put my attention on, hey, I get to see my kids in a minute. This will be fun. I'm going to make my daughter pancakes, or I'm going to whatever else, or my hair looks great today, whatever. That's not usually one of them. But maybe talk a little bit about that, about the idea that it's a superpower and sort of what that entails in terms of our, not just ability, but kind of, I don't know if responsibility is the right word, but potential. I don't know. Run with it.
I see choice in there, although it doesn't always seem like it. I think it's fair to say that we don't have any choice in terms of what shows up in our thinking in any given time. Right.
That's important to call out.
We all have, like, why am I thinking this? Well, who knows? I mean, the number is somewhere between 80 and 100,000 thoughts per day. I don't know. And
you counted those, did you?
What's that?
You counted those?
Yes, just last night, yesterday. It was 96,421.
Okay.
It was amazing. So we can't control what comes into our thinking, but we can register, and we sort of register instantly the quality of what's coming in and the attention we're giving it. So the choice is sort of in how do we orient ourselves once we've noticed what we're paying attention to, right? Like, I wake up, I don't feel great. Okay. Instead of being okay with that, like in your examples, right? And it goes from bad to worse. You go out the door, and instead of going to work, you turn around and go back and hide under the covers for the rest of the week. What was the question again?
Just
question there?
To elaborate more on the idea that attention is a superpower and what that means for our both sort of ability, but also, I use the word responsibility, and I don't know if that's the right word, but just what that means, that it's a superpower.
I think it's the beginning of where the creation of our experience begins. I think is in our attention, right? If I have the thought I'm in a bad mood and I don't attend to it, then wow, I'm not in a bad mood. If I attend to that thought, if I make that thought wrong, or if I want to change that thought, now all of a sudden putting attention on there amplifies it. So it's like whatever we put our attention on kind of gets amplified. That's what I was saying earlier, but it becomes more real to us.
Right.
Right. So attention is we could argue this. To me, attention seems like one of the very, very early aspects of creating our experience.
But aren't we just having our experience? What do you mean creating our experience?
Well, maybe noticing what we're experiencing is more accurate. I mean, we are just having an experience, and I think within the having of that experience, we can get caught up in focusing on certain things, which amplifies them, makes them the things that we pay attention to become the experience rather than part of a larger experience that we're just having. So if I'm not paying attention to thinking, it kind of comes and goes. So I might feel this, I might feel that, I feel this, I feel that, and it just kind of it's doing its thing. But then I got the one that's like, I don't like that, and I start paying attention to it. Well, that's all I get. It's like the example of tuning a radio station. If I'm or wearing angry glasses, if I'm wearing the angry glasses, and that's what I'm paying attention to, it's going to be really hard to get anything else.
Right.
If I'm dialed into the I'm in a crappy mood station, then you're going to keep getting iterations, like noticings of the same theme. And so this idea that attention is a superpower, I think choice piggybacks on there. It's that we can't control what comes in. We can control what we pay attention to some degree. Sometimes momentum has got you and you're along for the ride. But even there, the possibility exists to look elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Right? So, I've caught myself, I'm sure everyone has caught themselves in a bad mood or whatever, and then noticed something in their peripheral vision that grabs their attention. And now the attention that was before holding you in that negative place has been interrupted by something else. Oh, what happened to that? And now it's gone. Mm-hmm. So we can place our attention. I think we can place we don't always have the choice to initially place our attention. It just kind of happens.
Right.
But once we kind of get the feedback starts coming, if we can catch it early, if we can remember that we don't have to pay attention to what I'm thinking right now, like Sid Banks, a sort of philosopher, theosopher from the early 70s in British Columbia, talked about how, here's a reference, you could literally just change the floppy disk.
It's taking us back.
It's taking us back, right? Yeah, you
really dating ourselves.
Literally just. And to me, he talked about it in the context of changing thought. To me, it sounds more approachable when you talk about changing attention.
Right.
Right, because thought, you got to qualify now. You can't really control what comes in. Once it's in, what are you doing? Well, you're either paying attention to it or you're not paying attention to it. Right?
Yeah, it's very difficult to think differently. If I'm feeling angry, it is, at least personally, it is difficult to just, think happy thoughts, but I'm angry. But putting your attention on something does feel different. And so a couple of things I wanted that sort of came up while you were talking. One is the idea that we don't control those initial thoughts.
Right.
I think it's important to point out, this is something Michael Singer talks about sometimes, that there are some thoughts that just pop into our head, and there are some thoughts we can use our brains for amazing problem-solving things. Like if you want to build a bridge, our brain is a great tool.
Great tool, yeah.
To do it. Not my brain, but
Someone's brain.
Someone's brain.
Yeah.
Is a great tool for that. But figuring out why you don't feel good, our brain is not the right tool for that job.
Does not seem to do the job well, no.
There's a really interesting, if you meditate, you're very used to the idea that thoughts arise, but if you haven't been exposed to that a lot, there's a really fun, interesting experiment. I got this from Sam Harris. You can pause the video and you can try this. Just close your eyes, don't think about anything, and then think about any 3 movies.
Right.
And just watch them pop up. And okay, they were there. Then do it again. And probably by the second or third time, some movie's going to pop in your head why the hell was I thinking about Air Bud 2? Where did that come from?
Right.
And it's such a quick, interesting way to notice if you'd asked me ahead of time what I would have come up with, you would tell yourself a story about I just watched Lord of the Rings last night. Yeah. I was reading this book. It reminded me of this movie. But when you actually do it, something's going to pop into your head. I don't know where that came from.
It's pretty hard to predict what you're going to think.
Right. And then to think about, oh no, what if every thought is like that? What if thoughts are just popping into my head and I don't have any control over them?
Which they are.
Right. And the other, just an interesting thing to play with. And what I was thinking about, use the radio station again. I was thinking of dinner at a restaurant, and I was thinking of Chinese food or Indian food where there's a bunch of plates that you're sharing. And so you haven't ordered one plate, but there's, 8 things on the table. Mm-hmm. And you could take a bite of one and be like, oh, I didn't like that dish. They didn't cook this one properly. What else is wrong? What else didn't they do right?
Right.
Oh, the waiter hasn't been by it a while to fill up the tea. And I don't like the way that one looks. And oh, this one's something. So like from that initial thought of I didn't like this one, you can put your attention on all the things that are wrong.
Yeah. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right. And then you look out for other things. Oh, yeah. Okay. The waiter finally came with the water. Not really smiling. This doesn't seem like a friendly place. I wouldn't bring my friends here. Whereas if you just took a bite and be like, that one's not for me, I'm going to try this one.
Yeah.
This eggplant is delicious. That's
Said no one ever. Carry on.
we're gonna have to get into it about eggplant. Are you
Maybe.
You're not a fan of eggplant?
I'm not a fan of eggplant. No,
Wow.
no, that's that. No, aubergine, man.
Wow. In some ways, you and I are very different people. All right. Anyway, by putting your attention on whatever your dish of choice
Right.
is, like, hey, this one is delicious. What else is good here? Mm-hmm. All right, now I'm going to try that one. I like how they did that. This is great seasoning on this one. So what I heard from what you were saying before is like the table or the scope of choices that we can eat at is fixed, right? There's only a certain number of things on the table. And I guess in the scope, I know what you're going to say, in the scope of having this meal, right? Not the universe. I can leave the restaurant,
Not
but
thought,
but
in
the scope of I am eating this meal.
Yeah.
These are the ranges of experience that I can choose from, and if I put my attention on the ones that are better than the ones that I don't like, I am creating the experience of having a good dining experience, as opposed to
absolutely.
creating a bad one. It's really interesting to think about it that way. Obviously, you can expand that to like the people you're with, the conversations you're having. You can have delicious food and someone's grumpy at the table. You're like, oh, this food doesn't taste good because this person is, whatever. But by putting your attention on the good parts of it, you get more good parts of it, is how it feels.
Yeah. We can hook people up now to like fMRI machines and other machines that go ping. See if anyone gets that reference. And so if
Monty Python, if anyone's curious.
I've done this with clients every once in a while. I do it very judiciously, but if you want to play with the power of attention as a creative force, take a minute. And you can do this in either direction, but take a minute and really drill down, really commit yourself to paying attention to something horrible in your life, or something that you think is horrible, or something that represents something bad, and just notice what happens. And then, okay, now, so let's pretend you've done that for a minute. You probably feel pretty miserable. Okay, now start thinking positive. Not thinking positive, but now recollect a positive experience, think about something that brings you joy in life. And that gives you an idea of how fast it can actually shift, right? Like you can go from a minute of, my dog died, whatever it is that you're constructing as a negative experience, by holding thought in with your attention, and instantly that can change. Like it really does happen that fast, right? There might be a little lag as you reorient towards, and this as an exercise or as an experiment. Okay, I'm thinking really crappy thoughts, and all of that. And I can now pause. It might take a second to switch gears, but man, it can happen fast if you can let it happen fast. Like I think the fact that we have a choice of where we place our attention is a pretty cool thing. And I think it's something that we probably don't quite give enough credence to. I'm not like, maybe it takes a bit of practice. It feels to me like sometimes we, a bad mood. Yeah, I'm just in a bad mood, man. And I don't know, there's something about, trying to do something about it that doesn't really work, but also feels different than shifting attention. Like there's something about shifting attention that doesn't feel like a trying or a doing to me. I mean, it is, you're doing it, but there's something, there, maybe the distinction is that I'm not wrestling with the thing that I don't like. I'm just shifting attention to something that isn't that. Like I'm allowing for the possibility for that to no longer be the focus of my attention.
I think, when you're saying that, I think there is a nuance there. And going back to my restaurant examples, I think like choosing another dish that's available is not, I'm not fighting with the first dish.
Yeah.
Whereas if I flip the table and stormed out of the restaurant, that feels a lot more active. Like I'm changing the whole circumstance as opposed to selecting a different thing from the options that are available. And I mean,
it's like
all the options are available, but I'm just going to lean over here. Is much less of a doing than the table flipping.
Yeah. Well, and I think it embraces possibility. It embraces the choice that we all have in the way that we participate in the creation of our experience, right? Like my attention, it's my attention. It's not your attention. It's my attention, whatever that means, right? And I'm the one who gets to fix it here or fix it there or fix it there. And like you alluded to earlier, I mean, being able to fix our attention is probably a good job when you're doing calculus or physics, because people are going to die if the bridge collapses. Probably good use of attention. I think it's neat to me that the wonder in attention is just how quickly changing it or allowing it to change can impact your experience.
Yeah.
Like it's just cool how fast it can happen, and also how sometimes it's stubborn and doesn't want to.
Right.
It's like, no, I'm not doing that. Like I've used this example before, but having an argument with someone, I can like watch myself have an argument with someone and be like, what are you doing? Like, why are you being such an idiot?
Right.
It's like, well, because I want to, right? Because right now,
I'm right. Yeah.
Because right now my attention is on, I want to be right.
Yeah.
And while I'm noticing that happening, there's this other part that's like, what are you doing, dude? You don't have to be doing this. Yeah,
right.
But I want to, right? So to me, the fact that we can kind of create the possibility to choose where to fix our attention and to the degrees that we fix our attention is massive. It literally changes your experience, right? And some might say, well, it's thought. Thought changes new experience. This is true. I like, and maybe some might consider, using attention there as an extra step. But I like the agency that comes with, thoughts always occurring, thinking thought are the colors by which we paint our experience. And I like the idea that what I pay attention to as thought sort of rolls along through my head is actually what creates the experience I'm having at any given moment. I like to have that agency.
Yeah. And I think it points to something we were talking about in the last episode, which is that the solution isn't out there.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I don't have to yell at the chef or, send this dish back or whatever. I can simply put the control. I can't control how the dishes came out. Yeah. I can control what I'm putting my attention on. And
it's like, I'm going to try this. I don't have to, like you're saying, sorry to interrupt. Yeah. I don't have to fight with the aubergine in the dish.
Right.
I can just choose that one.
Yeah. We're going to tofu.
I will not attend to this. I like tofu. I will not attend to the aubergine. I will attend to the tofu.
Right.
I mean, it sounds silly, but I think when we bring the awareness of our role in creating our experience into play, attention kind of becomes a big deal.
Right. So in situations where you mentioned the exercise where like, okay, think of something negative, feel that, notice your so that's great when you're sitting back and not in the middle of a situation that's making you feel bad. I mean, it's an important exercise because at least it proves to you that it's possible.
Yes. Yeah.
When you are in a moment, when you're having that argument, how can we start to get more sort of used to the idea or have access to that power to notice, because what happens is, like, when you're saying notice your thoughts and then put your attention on something else, there's two things happening, right? You're having the thought, and then you're also noticing the thought, and you're directing the sort of spotlight onto a different thought.
Yeah.
When I'm in the moment, when I'm in the argument, there's only the one voice, at least at the beginning. And I've had the same experience you had, which is like, what do you, like, stepping back and like, what are you doing here?
Why are you doing this?
Yeah. But it took a while to get there. So how can people who may not have been sort of playing with this for a long time, when you're caught up in a moment, when you're having a bad experience, whether it's like the frustration we talked about last time, or you're in an argument, or, you know, the eggplant is undercooked, how can we sort of start to practice some of this stuff?
I hate these questions. Good question.
I know you hate them, that's why I asked them.
I do. Because I think the answer is just start noticing.
Okay.
Like, I really think that it's like you're developing a muscle, right? It's like, you know, I think a lot of us spend, hopefully this doesn't offend anyone, I think we spend a lot of times walking around like victims. And I think the more we can take ownership for our own creation, whether that's via, you know, how and where we place our attention, the interaction between thought and feeling, whatever it is. Once we start to realize the agency in our, once we start to accept the fact that we're living in a creation of our own, and either good in it or suffering in it, I think that's step one, right? Like, I wish there was a sort of a paint by numbers way to do this, and we try our best in the Joyful Life Project to kind of give people a sort of baby steps. You know, the question that comes to mind is, with coaching clients, I guess one of the tools or one of the devices could be to ask for the exceptions.
Say more about that.
Well, I'm stuck in something. I'm in a really bad mood. I've been in a bad mood 24/7 or for a week now. Oh, is that really true? Well, we know it wasn't true. We know that you're not in the same mood for 24 hours, 7 days a week. So what happened so that you weren't stuck in the same thinking that you're saying you were stuck in?
Right, okay.
Somehow your attention must have shifted. And when your attention shifts, new thought comes.
Right.
Right. So when attention shifts, whether it's because you saw a squirrel outside, or you'd stub your toe, or you saw yourself and deliberately started to shift it, however it happened, the fact is that when we're not attending to something, it provides space for something else to come into our experience.
You mentioned possibility before.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So when we're attending to, solving for, running away from, avoiding pain, protecting ourselves, whatever it is, we've got a very narrow scope there. And I think this speaks back to a podcast or two ago, when we just acknowledge what's happening in any given moment, it leaves a lot of space.
Right.
Right? And then we could, use our attention in a way that supports the creation of space and spaciousness and new thought, or we can use it to amplify what's currently happening. And unfortunately, or maybe not unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there's anything to do to get more good. You're good. And you're good as long as you're good. You don't really have to pay attention to staying in a good place. You just have to pay attention to what happens as you take yourself away from that good space. So as your attention moves to something to complain about, or the aubergine that I didn't want, or whatever, it's like, that's the slippery slope where how we use our attention can pull us away from what would typically or normally be a good feeling. So we don't have to attend to creating a good feeling. We have to attend to noticing we're working against allowing a good feeling.
So in my experience of that, so I've gotten better at noticing when I am attending to negative experiences. Like we said at the beginning, you wake up and you just start noticing things about your house and your family and nature and whatever else that are driving you crazy.
Yes, the weather.
Yeah. The whole universe is against me.
Yeah.
From that, so maybe I don't notice it for the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth thing I see, before I have breakfast, but I notice it on number 8.
Right.
Like, oh, now I see, I know what I've been doing all day.
Right.
Now what? So and that one was rhetorical.
Right.
Acknowledging that is important. So, I see what I've been doing.
Got me again. Yeah.
You got me right. It took me 8 times.
Finally got it.
In the video game, next level. Next time I'm going to try and get it in 7 or 6. I'll level up. But yeah, it took me 8 times. I got it. I've been attending to things that are not making me feel good. And there is that acknowledgement that does create sort of space and a lightness that you said, like, because it's a reminder that I don't have to be doing that. I haven't consciously been choosing it, but I have been choosing it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And acknowledging that is sort of permission to yourself that I don't have to keep doing that.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Really well said. Yeah.
So there, it does become a little lighter, and there is more of, I guess it is just acknowledgement. Like, yeah, I had a lousy morning because I attended to the 8 things that proved it was a lousy morning.
Yeah, and so what?
Right. And so my question is it still feels like I should be pushing a little bit in the direction that I want to go. And what I always hear from you is just stop doing the other thing and you'll sort of end up back there. So is there anything more to do once you've acknowledged, or should I it's just like really, like we were saying at the end of the last podcast when we were talking about like lean into the feeling, like lean into the negative feeling, like really, really acknowledge just how much this was my own creation, really lean into the feeling of how miserable I am because of the thing I just created for myself.
I think, I think this may sound ridiculous, but like until you click into it, you just got to keep trying until eventually you go, oh shit, this is real. This is actually how, like you kind of muddle and fiddle around with it, and hopefully you play, you're lighthearted about all of this. And then one day it kind of clicks and goes, oh, damn, yeah, this is how this works. And I think until that point, trial and error, like I think just deepening, if we can deepen our awareness of the system at work. Oh, what I attend to, I tend to get more of. Okay, if we can just keep seeing that and seeing that and seeing that and seeing that, and then eventually you kind of go, oh wow, you mean that's how it works? It actually works that way, that what I'm focusing on, what I'm paying attention to is what my experience is made out of?
Yeah, in every moment.
All the time, no exceptions. I'm shit, right? Like I mean, when I stumbled into, seeing things differently, it happened in a split second after decades, right? of sort of suspecting that there was something out there that I wasn't didn't, and I'm not claiming any expertise in any, well, yeah, no, scrap that. But it what I'd been sort of orienting towards over decades just suddenly was in place. And I don't know, I don't like, how do you, I think the question around acknowledgement, or really stepping into the acknowledgement, really seeing the connection in all moments, all the time, that it's never the outside imposing itself on you. It's actually me creating the outside always, is a tough nut, man. Like, it's easier to be a victim, right? let me step back from that language. It's easier to have a built-in excuse,
Right.
right? Oh, no, it's the weather.
Right. Yeah. I'm X because of Y. Yeah.
Precisely, right? When this, then that. And when you really when you drop your resistance and begin to see your role in creation, it becomes pretty powerful. And then it sort of starts to, it kind of snowballs, right? You forget because we're human, it happens, but you're gentler with yourself. It doesn't lend itself to 24 hours of ruminating or months of ruminating or, anti-anxiety medication. It's like there's an okayness that comes from tripping yourself up, which I think develops itself as we look in the direction of sort of linking together, okay, thought, I think, and what I'm paying attention to or not, because some of it happens unconsciously, but the thought, I'm living in the feeling of that thinking. And if I attend to this specific thinking because I don't like it, I typically get more of that. And I can see how, oh yeah, I did this last week or a month ago, or, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I can see that I've been doing this in my life. And when all of that starts to coalesce, I think the bubble just kind of bursts and you go, ah, damn it, eh? Full choice, full responsibility. I like how Sadhguru puts this, right? You're both responsible for and response-able to. Okay.
Clever, man.
Right.
Wordplay.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, yeah, it's... I wish there was just a simple process by which I don't know, like take a pill. I guess we've been trying to do that in our own ways, right? Or, and some kind of an inoculation. There's, when I started playing around with attention a few years ago and like really started trying to shift it. Yeah, I mean, initially it was like, no, man, if I was, if the car was 3/4 of the way down the driveway and I was trying to stop it and move it, that was a little harder.
Right.
And I think what I meant to say earlier as I was listening to you was the, going back to the last podcast about feelings as a GPS, the earlier we can pick up that feeling of not how I normally am, right? You said, it took 8 times. Yeah, well, as you tune yourself, and I'll say it this way deliberately, to really giving a shit about how you feel, it's not going to take 8 times. It's going to take 7. And then as you practice really caring about how you feel and really starting to make those connections between feeling and thinking and feeling and creation and experience, okay, now it takes 4 times and 3 times. Right. And now it's just earlier and earlier and earlier. And you will ignore it sometimes.
Right.
As evidenced by, you have an argument with the wife and like watching myself going, like, God, you're being an asshole. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to be right. So my attention is on, I want to be right. And every part of me is screaming. The bigger part of me is screaming, no, you want to be harmonious. You want things to, and ego's a funny thing sometimes. We might be digressing a little bit there. Yeah. What do you hear? Back to you.
Yeah. I keep going back to the idea that we're creating our experience. And I wanted to use the word victim a couple of times. And I think it's important to dial that in a little bit.
Right.
And point to what I kept thinking was when you watch kids playing, it's like when my kids were little, and if you've ever been around little, 18-month, 2-year-olds, they run around, they fall, they hurt themselves, whatever. And most of the time what happens is they fall and then they look back at you.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they're trying to figure out how they should react.
Yeah.
And if you give them a smile and a wave, like, get back up, buddy, they will get back up.
Don't they? Yeah.
And if you look more like, oh my God, are you okay? They will understand that there's something to freak out about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think when we talk about when you talk about being a victim, what we're saying is it's not that it's your fault that you fell down.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good. Super clear.
Right. There's nothing,
yeah.
We're using the victim word in that you have the ability to control or put your attention on the kind of experience you want to have of the experience that happened outside.
Right? Life is a contact sport.
Yes.
Right. If you get hit by a car, okay, you got hit by a car. And if 6 years later you're still terrified of walking through an intersection, that's on you,
Right.
right? Is that sort of
Yeah,
where you're
and
pointing?
I think on the other side as well, yes, it wasn't, we're not talking about it was your fault that you got hit by a car, that
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
did something that deserved, nothing like that.
No, of course not.
What we are, or what we are pointing to is that your attention, we're just using that word again because that's what we're talking about, your attention in the moment about the experience is something you have control over. So you didn't have control over the car hitting you.
Yeah,
We're not
absolutely.
talking about like, oh, if only your kid hadn't dropped their lunch and you had made another one, you wouldn't have been on time. You would have been at the intersection at a different time, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
blah. It's
yeah,
nothing about that. It's just saying after the thing happens, how you relate to that thing,
yeah,
you can put your attention on different places
absolutely.
to influence your experience of that
Yeah,
event.
it's not the thing itself, or it is the thing itself for the split second or the duration of the time where the thing is happening. And then after that, that thing is no longer happening,
Right.
and now you're hopefully this doesn't offend anyone. Now you're making it up. You're creating a story. Yeah, it happened, and it's not happening anymore.
Yeah.
Good, bad, whatever the thing is, it happens for a split second, and after that, it's really a question of what you're attending to. Am I attending to, oh, he's me, I fell down and skinned my knee? Or am I attending to, yeah, get back up on, whatever, like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool scar to show somebody.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, we're not in any way, we're not talking about fault,
Right.
right? We're talking about the ability that we have to have something happen and then create different story, the ability to create different stories. And that story can be a story of victimhood, or it could be a story of something else.
Right.
And fundamentally, what we're talking about is what you place your attention on is typically what you get and what the world looks like.
Yeah.
Right. Especially if you're listening to this in 2026 of what's today, January 30th, there's a lot going on in the world. And if you pay a ton of attention to it and make it mean a whole lot, you can really quickly see the world as a horrible, terrible place. And there is the option to see all of the good things that are happening, because unequivocally, the world is in a better place than it was 100 years ago. Right? So how we focus, how we use that creative power of attention is kind of important.
Yeah. I was thinking there's also something about the time aspect. So when something bad happens to us in the short term, we tend to focus on all the negatives and how much we're suffering and how the world is against it and all those things, whether it's like car accidents or work that whatever it is.
Yeah.
Given more time, when we look back on our lives, and I would encourage people to do it, when you think about all of the quote worst things that have happened to you,
Right.
those are probably the things that you credit with being the cause of most of your growth and development and sort of where a lot of the positive things in your life come from. Oh, if that hadn't have happened, I wouldn't X.
Yeah.
And it's interesting what you said about stories. And I think maybe next time we'll talk more about stories and just what we do with stories. But
Meaning, yeah.
yeah, the meaning you ascribe to that bad situation changes over time, and it often ends up in a very positive view because we like having a positive narrative about our lives.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But it just points to is like you don't have to start with the negative part, right? Right after the thing happens, you're not obligated to feel bad about it.
That's right.
You
Yeah.
can put your attention similarly to what you would do down the road, with the benefit of hindsight, but you can just start doing that. Even if it's, I don't know what the benefit is of me getting hit by this car. Like it's hard to see right now what the outcome is going to be. But I can put my attention on the fact that I'm still alive.
Yeah.
I'm getting good care. I have, my family members helping me out. I can afford a meal planning service, while I'm recovering, so I don't have to cook. Whatever it is, you can put your attention on those things right away, and that will create a better experience than if you are living in the story of this is unjust and I'm suffering and whatever else.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing in that is sort of an elegant way of saying that we get to create our experience based on what we attend to. We can do it at any time. We are doing it all the time anyway, whether we notice it or not. That might be worth mentioning. We are creating our experience in real time all the time.
Yeah.
And, ingesting. I'm hungry. Injecting this idea that we can move our attention around within that creation is kind of a cool thing.
Right.
So now we're not at the mercy of creation. We get to be active in what's being created.
Right.
Which I think is kind of a neat thing to start to experience. And if you really want to test like the power of attention, do that 1 minute thinking horrible and then 1 minute thinking positive. See the impact on your body, see the impact on your posture, see the impact on your smile, and then notice how quickly it can actually change. And I know that's contrived. And if it can happen then, why wouldn't it be possible
Right.
elsewhere? But for conditioning, resistance, whatever, all of these things that we've innocently learned are not really possible.
Right.
Right. If it can shift this fast here, probably it can shift. At the very least, we could say it can shift there as well.
Yeah.
Maybe not as fast, but it can. And leaning into that possibility, I think, is better than not.
Yeah. I love it. I didn't mean before when I said it's easy in the exercise and it's hard in real life. That wasn't to poo-poo the exercise.
Yeah,
I
no. I
know. There's an
no
expression,
issues with that.
I think about this in meditation a lot, that this isn't a meditation expression, but the more you sweat in practice, the less you bleed in battle.
Right, yeah.
Right. So the point of meditation is not to be better at meditating. It's that when you go out into the world, you have a more trained mind. And so, doing these exercises to sort of prime the pump for that are really important.
Just noticing, right? I think so much of the how do you do it? What do you do? How do you do it? It's so much as just noticing. Like just start to notice. Like start to notice that, shit, what yeah, wow. When I'm I hate to keep using my wife here, but this is terrible. Sorry, Julie. I love you.
He really does.
Yeah, thank you. She's going to hear this. Oh, rewind, edit. When I'm paying attention to a perceived flaw, I'm creating that flaw. I'm creating that in her. And I don't have to do that. And that's cool. I get to create her, whatever, any way I want. And I can do that with my attention. I pay attention to this, don't pay attention to this. Pay attention to that, don't pay attention to that.
Right.
So it's just like we can shift this around. And in so doing, we get new experience. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really feeling down a lot. No, yeah. Yeah, you're spending a lot of time on feeling down. Yeah. How's that working out for
Really
you?
committed
Oh, I
to it,
feel
yeah.
terrible. Awesome. So it works.
Right.
Might there be an alternative? I think if we're gentle with ourselves and we treat all of this stuff with a bit of humor and a little bit of lightheartedness, then we can begin to kind of see that, there are options, even at the worst of times.
Right.
You might not be able to act on the option, but it's there. You
Right.
might not
Even noticing, okay, I didn't get it this time, but I know the option's there is a good first step.
Yeah, it's there, right? Oh, God, damn it. I'm on to the 8th time, the 9th time. Okay,
Right.
Good. You got it? Yeah, good times. Fun.
So what, I always like to end with a takeaway. How can we articulate how people can play with this a little bit? Along with doing the first exercise would be good if you really want to just...
If you really want to jar yourself with it.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to have that proof of experience. Like this isn't hypothetical. You can make it real for yourself by doing that experience. So 1 minute thinking of something horrible and making yourself feel really bad, and then immediately switch to something positive and feel better about it.
And just
right?
notice the possibility. And notice that it works.
Yeah.
Then it works that way.
And then when you're out in the real world, living your day to day, how can we practice or play with attention?
I'm same way. Really, right? I don't mean to. Same way. Like we're just noticing. We're just noticing the relationship between what I'm focused on and how my world looks with the current focus. I don't really think there's much more to it than that, or at least I don't know how to articulate it.
Okay.
Just notice, like walk through your day-to-day life and kind of be aware. Maybe start with the fact that you want to have a good experience in your life, and notice what's happening when you're not having the experience that you want to have. And invariably, you're going to land with, I'm paying attention to thoughts that don't serve me.
Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I hate to make it that simple, but I think it's that simple.
Everything else is pretty complicated. It's okay to have something simple.
Appreciate that, because we could probably make this really complicated.
No, let's keep it easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll wrap up there. And yeah, I think what came out of this one, next time I want to talk about stories, both the stories we tell ourselves sort of internally, but also what you're saying about sort of our stories as a creation of other people and other experiences.
Yeah.
I like talking about that. So we'll do that next time.
That's a neat one. Cool. All
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon.
All right.